Let's see. Come on, right outside. Okay. There.
So, like we talked before, everybody's got a position.
Correct.
And you're in a good position right now. You want to look to here?
Yeah, well, you're right-handed.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
Nope.
Left hand.
Yeah, you're good.
Anything?
Same as last time is fine.
What did you get last time?
Coke is fine. Coke is fine.
Are you sure?
Yeah, that's fine.
Regular Coke?
You want something to eat or just Coke?
Coke is fine. I actually had a burger for lunch, so I'm fine.
All right. You shut down, though.
What's the weather like out?
Same as it was the day you were outside? There you go.
I think you have to take
Hey.
the thing off.
They don't want you to have that.
Yeah. Thank you. Alright. That should be fine. Thanks.
Don't cut your lip on that.
I won't.
Yeah, like I said, these guys come up from Florida. They just want to hear your story.
Okay.
Yeah, it's better to them to hear it firsthand rather than just hear it from me or reading my notes or something. So
Okay.
just be cooperative like you did with me.
Okay.
Everything will be good to go. Just like I told you before, just tell the truth.
Okay.
I mean, at this point, your position can't get any, you can't hurt yourself really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just talk to them.
Oh,
You know, if you have questions, ask them. If they can't tell you something, they say I can't tell you.
that's fine.
All right.
All right.
If you need something, holler.
Okay.
I'll let you know when the Redskins score.
All right.
Hey, these guys I was telling you about.
Hey, Jesse. I'm Jerry Magna.
Jesse?
No one's coming.
He's coming. He's slow.
Yeah. This is Jesse.
Hey Jesse,
How are you doing?
how are you doing?
I'm well about yourself.
My name's Nick Roberts.
So they're good guys. Just talk to them like you and I talked, and they'll take care of you. Okay.
Okay.
I know they probably pulled you out unexpectedly. And so you weren't expecting it. Are you cool with talking to us?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, that's
I was just here to watch a football game, but it's fine.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
My bad.
No,
We'll
you're
try.
fine.
We'll try to make this quick so you can get
No,
back.
that's fine. I just rather get out the way now.
Okay.
If you're more than willing to talk to us, I know that probably when you talk to them, they advise you of your rights at some point, right?
Yeah, they
okay.
did.
All right. We'll go over the same.
That's fine.
Do I have to ask what game you were watching?
There was a couple on the TVs. They had the Redskins and the Colts playing, and then they had the Vikings and the Packers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm assuming that you're a huge Redskin fan. So
I'm not.
probably-
I'm a Packers fan.
Packers. Okay. Aaron Rodgers. I guess he's having a little trouble.
Yeah. But I think he's playing, so.
Yeah. I think I just caught that he was.
All right, I'm going to advise you the same rights that
Okay,
they
that's fine.
advise you of, okay? Just so that I can say that I did, but you have the right to remain silent. You understand that, all
Yes.
right? And you know that anything you say can't be used against the court of law. You understand that?
Yes.
And you have the right to talk to a lawyer and have them present while you're being questioned if you wish. And you can, if you can't afford to hire a lawyer, will be appointed to represent you for any question if that's what you want. And you can decide at any time to exercise these rights, not answer any questions or make any statements. So if you don't want to talk to us, you don't have to. If you get uncomfortable later on, you don't want to talk to us, you can tell us to stop. No harm, no foul.
Okay.
It won't bother us at all. You cool with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. You understand each of the rights, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna sign here.
You can sign right there. And you hadn't asked anybody up here for an attorney?
No.
Okay. All right. Just tell us a little about who you are.
Where are you from originally?
Yeah, you
Right here.
Okay, from Arlington. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brothers, sisters, anything like that?
I have 4 younger sisters. Well, all like half sisters from my dad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get along with them?
Somewhat.
Were you the only boy?
Yeah, I was the only one.
Oh,
I'm the
good
oldest.
Lord.
I'm the oldest too. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
And did your mom bring you up, or mom and dad, or who?
More like my mom and then my grandma.
Yeah.
Because my mom was always sick, so.
What, is she still, your mom still around?
Yeah, she's still sick.
Yeah. Is she?
She just had surgery about 2 weeks ago.
How's she doing?
She's all right. She has a LVAC, which is like a tube going from her stomach to her heart.
Yeah, I know what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Have you been able to talk to her?
She has she's heart failure.
Oh,
Gotcha.
You've been able to talk to her since you?
Not since I've been here, no.
No. Have you been able to talk to any family at all?
Just my stepdad, kind of uncle / stepdad, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
What's his name?
His name is King.
King.
King is, that's right, that's your stepdad, isn't it?
Yes.
How close are you to him, to King?
We have our ups and downs.
What do you mean?
Because he's more the, I guess, the do the right thing, and his father was a federal judge and everything.
Really?
Oh wow. Okay.
And so he, I think he's a federal judge, I
Mhm.
believe. And so he's always been like the stickler of me trying to make sure I get myself together, stay on medication, and just trying to get me to do right.
Right.
And trying to convince me that I can actually stand up like on my own.
You can, sure.
And I've always been one to be like, oh no, I need someone or something
Yeah.
like
What kind of medication does he want you to be on?
that. HIV medication?
Mm-hmm. Are you taking it regular?
No, yes.
Good.
I wasn't.
Why weren't you?
Kind of fell off, and it's kind of been, I don't know.
Is it a money thing, expense thing, or?
No, because you can get it free
Right.
nowadays, so it's more so, I don't know. I had a lot of stress because I was trying to take care of 2 people, and I was working a lot. So
Who is the other person you're trying to take care of?
my husband.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What's up with him that you got to take care of? Do you got issues as well?
Well, when we first met, he was working. Like, he was working, I wasn't working.
Yeah.
But then he started using crystal like me. I was using crystal a lot too. And it got to the point where he just stopped working. And even when we got off crystal, he just didn't want to work.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got...
Even after he quit using?
Yeah.
Wow.
He just didn't want to work. And
Yeah.
so I got my first job in Motel 6. Because to work in a hotel, I used to work at the Hyatt and everything. So I got my job at Motel 6. And I even got him a job there.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't go to work. So it looked bad on me.
That did look bad on you.
Yeah, it looked bad on me, and so they ended up terminating me.
Mhm.
And then my last job that I had, well, no, I had a job in between those two. I was working at the Wyndham, and he came up to my job because my supervisor didn't want to do my paperwork on time.
Mm-hmm.
So he came up to my job and threatened my supervisor that he was going to kick his ass. And so my supervisor pretty much fired me on the spot.
Wow.
It was like
Wow.
he's banned my husband from the property.
Jeez.
And then the last job I had, which was pretty recent, I was working as a concierge. And Terrell was in the hospital for a couple of weeks because he had pneumonia.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got out, he had got into it with my roommate at the time. And my roommate was like, you can't come back here. And so I was like, okay, so now I'm torn because I don't know where to go. My family's up north.
Yeah.
His family's here, but for some reason he don't want to like to be around them.
Yeah.
And so I let him come to my job, and since it was like expensive condos, they had like 2 extra suites on the bottom that were like hotels that you could rent out.
Mhm.
So I would let him go in there and sleep, and then yeah, pretty much
What happened?
that caught up to me.
Yeah.
um,
How did it catch up to you? I want to hear the story.
they pretty much
They went in there and found him asleep?
No, he what he would do is I always told him to stay,
Yeah.
stay in the room, don't come out the room.
Yeah.
He would come out the room
Hard-headed, ain't he?
and go out the front door instead of going out the side door to go smoke, or he'd be lounging around the building.
Mhm.
And he wasn't grooming himself very well. So this
Yeah.
is a very expensive place in Tyson's Corner.
He looked out of place.
Looked out of place. And
He
so
was
they,
noticeable.
very noticeable. And so
Yeah.
they're looking and they see me giving him the key to go in the thing, and it just didn't look good at all.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so since then,
How long you and him been together?
well, I married him 2 months after knowing him,
Mhm.
which was not the right thing to do. 'Cause
Yeah, so how long altogether y'all been together?
it'll be 2 years. 2 years.
Yeah. Was he using then when y'all first met?
No,
Alright. What about you?
that was yeah.
You said you were, and then he started. So.
Yeah, he started. He started different. He started shooting automatically. He didn't start by smoking or anything. He
You
started
just
shooting.
went straight.
straight for the big wham.
Wow. Okay.
How would you usually?
I started smoking, and then I gradually got to shooting.
Yeah.
It took a couple years. I've been using it for years, but I take my breaks where I stop.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
Mm. Well, how did you meet Derek?
we had left here and decided we were going to move down south,
Mm-hmm.
and so we went to Florida. Originally Orlando,
Mhm.
caught the Amtrak to Orlando, and we ended up running out of money in Orlando.
Yeah.
And we were stranded in Orlando for quite a while, so we ended up walking from Orlando to Ocala.
How long is quite a while that you were stranded in Orlando?
2 weeks maybe?
2 weeks.
Yeah, it's about 2 weeks.
And you decided to walk from.
Well, we caught
to
to the edge of Orlando. Was able to catch like the bus. Like
Yeah.
the bus was like $1 or $2
Yeah.
because we literally had no money, had no
Mhm.
phones. Our phone was out of minutes, and so we walked from that to Ocala.
How long did that take?
It took a couple days.
Y'all were catching rides, right?
No,
Every
we-
once in a while.
No, we walked.
You didn't catch any
Walked the
rides.
whole
We
way.
walked.
Wow.
And then what we would do is we would get grocery carts,
Mhm.
and we would sleep in the grocery, like put the grocery carts together, sleep in the grocery carts.
Yeah.
And then finally we met somebody. Well, we were going there because we knew someone out that way who he sold drugs, like significantly. So he said he'd help us try and get as close back to home as he could. And so he ended up driving us to the other side of Ocala actually.
Mm-hmm.
And so then from there we got some money, and we ended up getting the Greyhound to Tallahassee.
Mm-hmm.
Once we got to Tallahassee, we stayed in Motel 6 for a couple days. The Motel 6 is off of, it's really Appalachia, I think,
Okay.
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken.
We're on the Parkway.
Right.
All right.
And so we stayed there, and during that time we ended up like walking to the library, not far from where Derek lives.
Mm-hmm.
And Terrell was on the grinder thing, and he was talking to Derek because he was like, "Oh, somebody said they wanted to get high. They get us high because we're stranded." Da da da. So we went over there, and we chilled with Derek and his friend Olaf. I believe that's his name. And so we were just all there chilling, and then we ended up leaving, going back to our hotel. Derek dropped us off at our hotel. Him and Olaf went wherever they were going.
Okay.
And then we were checking out of our hotel, and then Derek invited us back over to chill, whatnot. And so we ended up spending the night that night. And Terrell's mom ended up saying if she paid Derek, would he take us back to Americus, Georgia?
Okay.
And he agreed, and that was the 4th of July weekend.
Okay.
And
Did
so-
y'all went back to Americas? It was like
Right.
4th of July. Okay.
And on the ride and everything, well, he agreed to drive us to Albany, Georgia, and we backtracked. And so when we got to Albany, Georgia, Terrell's mom was at a picnic, and she totally wasn't like nowhere near Albany. And so she was like, "Well, can he just bring you all the way? You're already right here." So Terrell goes off on his mom, and then he returns this phone that he bought for like $30.
Mm-hmm.
And so to get the money back. So we did that, and him and Derek kind of got into a little small argument about, Terrell not being grateful because he felt like Derek was obligated to take us and him not paying him gas money. So Derek was like, "I'll just drop your ass off at the Dollar Tree," and then they got into a little split. But then I told Derek, I was like, "Look, just please," and then I'm pretty sure his mom would give me more money when we get there. So he did that. He took us to the, yeah.
Was there any like violence
No.
that occurred or anything
He
like
just
that?
they just shared like a
Gotcha.
really big heated argument to the point that
Gotcha.
Derek after that point did not like Terrell. But he drove us to the picnic first, and when we got to the picnic, his mom was gone.
Okay.
Because it was pouring down raining, and so they left and they went back to Americus, and that was in what part of Georgia? It's like another county over.
Mhm.
And so from there, we ended up going, he was like, you know what, where the fuck does your mom live? Excuse me, I mean the curse. But, like, where the fuck does your mom live? So from there, he drove us back to his mom's house, and he was like, all right, y'all just get the fuck out of my car.
Derek drove back to Terrell's mom's house.
Yes.
In Americus.
Yes, and dropped us off.
Did he, and you mentioned something a minute ago about, I guess, was Terrell's mom going to pay him extra money for going from Albany to Americus?
She was going to, but Derek pulled off.
So he never went in the house?
He never went in the house, no.
Mm-hmm.
And so after that, Derek had left, but Derek, you know, he had my number, so he texted me and was like, you know, you're really cool, but your husband, I don't like him, da-da-da.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't pay any mind. But then he just kept texting me, like, well, if you ever want to come back to Tallahassee, you can come back. And so me and Terrell ended up going through some stuff where I didn't want to stay at his mom's house, so I left. And I went to another friend's out, like, an hour away from there in another part of Georgia. And then I ended up walking from there to...
Do you remember the name of the town?
Fort something.
Okay.
Fort Dix. I think Fort Dix or something. No, I don't know Fort Dix. It's Fort something though.
Okay.
It's like an hour away. And so then from there, I had someone drop me off at the station that I thought was the Greyhound station, but it really wasn't. It was just this big gas station where truckers go.
Mm-hmm.
And Derek ended up agreeing to come pick me up there. He was like, if you can wait 3 hours, I can pick you up. And
How far was this place you're talking about?
From Tallahassee?
Yeah.
3 hours.
Okay. It's 3 hours away.
Yes.
Okay.
And so he came.
And you don't know exactly where?
It's in Georgia. It starts with a B. That place starts with a B.
Okay.
It's right. It's right outside of Byron, Georgia.
Bainbridge?
No.
Byron?
I know it's right. I know Byron, Georgia is like.
Okay.
It says Byron on the Byron's to city limits.
Okay.
And so he picked me up at the subway right there. Right as soon as we got off the exit, he picked me up at the subway, and then we ended up driving back to Tallahassee. I fell asleep, and so then we got to Tallahassee. We were just chilling, and so then we were just establishing a relationship from there. And I was there for maybe like a few days.
Mm-hmm.
And then Terrell was able to track my device to see where I was, because we have all our Google accounts linked.
Gotcha.
And so he was able to tell where I was in Tallahassee. He didn't say anything, but then he ended up in Albany with his mom and stuff. And so he was like, his mom was going to come pick me up, but I wasn't answering my phone. But I'm going to backtrack a little. I went too far. And so my mom ended up sending me money because I agreed to go back to Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And so Derek took me to the CVS to pick up the money. And at this...
Do you remember where the CVS was?
Right there off of Appalachia.
Okay.
And so at this time, I'm like, you know, I'm just going to go back to Michigan. My mom needs me. That's fine. And so she sends me $200, exactly the amount for exactly the amount for the bus ticket, nothing more, nothing extra. And so
Smart woman.
and so then at this time, King calls me and was like, I just talked to Terrell. I'm like, okay, why are you telling me this? I don't really care. I'm leaving. And so then he tells me that Terrell had told him a whole list of things that we were doing, like. Basically, like, I was strung out on drugs, and at this time, I wasn't using.
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of pissed me off, because I'm like, for one, if you're married, or supposed to be married, and live, you know, go by your vows or whatnot, I felt like he shouldn't have went, like, against me to my family. And
Right.
it wasn't out of caring.
I see that. Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's somewhere you should have backed me up, where instead of out of spite, you went to tell my family that, oh, I was shooting up and I was strung out, when every time that I was doing it, your family doesn't know anything about your drug use. Not at all. They have no idea he's on crystal.
Mm-hmm.
And my family knows now that I shoot up, and that's like a big jump, especially for my mom.
Yeah.
And so then I was extremely pissed to the point where I just stopped talking to everybody, because my mom's calling me, cussing me out. So I said, I just sent you $200 for the ticket. All you're going to do is buy drugs. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That's not even true. And so Derek sees what I'm going through and everything. So he was like, well, you know, if you need a place to stay, you can stay here for a while. Just try and get a job, you know, help out, because he was falling behind on his bills and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I agreed, and I was just there. And then my husband started calling more and more, so I started answering. And with, you know, he has a type of hold over me where I'll try to do anything to try and fix situations to where he can be involved. And I'll touch a little base on that a little bit more. And so one day, Derek and I was just driving around. I had probably about $70 left out of the money, because I just started spending it on stuff we had in the house, food and everything. And I wanted to drive, so he agreed to rent me a U-Haul because that was cheaper than a rental car.
Mm-hmm.
And he needed to drive for Lyft. And so I couldn't drive his car because he needed Lyft. And I was just driving U-Haul around Tallahassee to get to know Tallahassee. And so I did that for a while.
Can I stop you right there?
Yes.
Just for a second? When y'all went to go rent the U-Haul,
Mhm.
you remember where you went?
Yes, it's okay. So this is Monroe, straight down Tennessee Street.
Mm-hmm. So
Yes.
you were there with him?
Yeah, I
I
was
guess
there.
is what I'm getting.
He went into the U-Haul and I sat in the car.
Okay. You
And then-
sat outside. The
Yeah,
car.
and then he drove the U-Haul back straight to the house, and then I just drove the car back.
And where did you park the? Because the U-Haul is kind of big, right?
Yeah, he parked it on at first.
From a van.
Yeah, he on the side street,
Mm-hmm.
right in front of the house.
Oh, right directly in front of the house?
Right in front of
on the main street.
Yeah, right on. I guess it's Monroe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so he parked it there. I parked right behind him. We switched out, and then he drove off, and I drove off. Keep going.
Yeah.
What time of day was that?
This was no later than it was earlier than 6:00 p.m.
Okay. All right.
And it's probably like more like 3-4ish.
Okay.
And so I was driving around Tallahassee, getting to see like different parts. I even went to AT&T to get me a SIM card for my tablet at the time.
Okay.
And that is right off of Tennessee Street too. So I drove the U-Haul up the big old like the big old hill up into the AT&T.
Okay.
And went into AT&T, got me a SIM card and everything for my tablet. And then after that, Terrell kept calling. He was like, "Well, you know, you promised you would come out here so we can at least talk." And so I was like, "Okay, well, let me just see what he wants." I was like, "Okay, well, I might can make that drive, but I did promise Derek that we'll have the U-Haul back by 5. So I didn't want to burn that bridge because he said it was on his. He did have to use his card, but I put the money on his card and everything.
Mm-hmm. And this is the same day that it was rented.
Yes.
So you're talking about you had this conversation with Terrell, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And so we went. I ended up agreeing after I went out on the sexcapade because I went out and had sex a couple times. To be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up driving up there to Americas, and
You drove the van to
Yeah, I drove from Americas to the van to Americas,
Okay.
and I picked him up, and that was probably like 8ish. Probably it's later than 8. Probably like 9, 10, because I was running late, and he was like, "Well, where are you?" Da da da. And I was like, "I'm coming. Just be patient," because I was out doing me.
Derek was saying.
No.
Terrell.
Yeah, Terrell.
Okay.
At this time, me and Derek already agreed. I was like, "Well, I'll just be back by 3, 4 o'clock because I'm out, having a little fun." Da da da. And Derek was fine with that because he was driving Lyft.
Right.
And so I went out there, and then I didn't have the intentions on bringing him back, but he just was like, "You're tired." Da, da, da. It was actually raining too, and so he was like, "You know what? We'll come back." And so then I'm already thinking, well, maybe Derek said I can stay there, so maybe I can try and convince him to let Terrell stay, even though I know they don't like each other.
Mm-hmm.
But I can try. I think that I'm able to, mend what they kind of broken apart because I met through them,
Mm-hmm.
kind of, sort of, and so I agreed for Terrell to drive back, and so.
How long did you stay in America once you got there in the van?
Like, probably we talked for like 10 minutes
Mm-hmm.
and turn right back around because it was a 3-hour drive.
Yeah. Did y'all drive straight back or make any stops along the
We
way?
drove straight back.
Okay.
We stopped to get gas.
Right.
And that was it.
Do you remember what cities you stopped to get gas in?
It was at a. Where did we stop to get? It's probably it's always like a flash food.
Always the flash food?
Always
That's
because that's the only ones that I can remember. Like,
through that area, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. There's a lot of them.
and so
Yeah.
so we get back to Americas and we get back to Tallahassee.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, whatever you do, don't argue with Derek because you have a slick mouth, and Derek's tend to have a slick mouth back. Just don't argue with.
Well, what did Terrell say to that when you told him not to argue with Derek?
He agreed.
Oh.
And so when Derek wasn't there when we got back,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was like, okay, well, I told him I'd be here about 3 o'clock. Derek got home probably around 3:30, 4 o'clock, and he was out driving Lyft, and I didn't know that at the time until he came and told me. Because when I tried to call him, he wasn't answering. So usually when he doesn't answer, he's out driving Lyft.
Can I ask you this?
Yes.
Did Derek leave you with the key to his place?
Yes, I had a key to the back door.
Okay. And he's out till 3:30, 4 in the morning driving Lyft?
Yes.
Okay.
And so Terrell's in the bathroom getting himself together because I'm like, you know what? I know one thing that'll get Derek going is sex.
Mm-hmm.
And so Derek comes home and he's like, okay, you ready to take the U-Haul back? but then he hears someone in the bathroom. He's like, "Who is that?" And I was like, "It's kind of a surprise. You know, I don't want you to get mad." So I'm trying to convince him not to go to the bathroom yet because he's gonna get himself together. And so when he finally goes in the room and everything, I guess he either opens because I'm on the couch laying down. And so my whole thing was I didn't think that it would turn like south from there.
Yeah.
And so when he opens the door, Terrell comes out, and then like they get into like a big argument, like off break, because Derek's like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And then I guess Terrell, like, he doesn't like anybody talking to him like that.
Yeah.
Not even his mother, because he had cussed his mother out too. And so then next thing I hear, like, I don't think to like get up and break it up. I'm like, "Come on, you two, just stop." I didn't get up because at this point I'm like laying on the couch, I'm just relaxing. And so then I hear like a, and Derek had like a bat like right there against like where his bathroom door is. And
What color was it?
it was aluminum, I think silver.
Okay.
And that's when like he hit Derek in the head, and I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And so then I go in the room, I told Derek, "Just sit down on the bed," and then I pulled Terrell out into like the living room. And I'm pretty sure you guys been there. The living room has like a little couch like right here, like right as soon as you walk out the door.
As soon as you walk out of the bedroom door to the left, there's a couch.
There's a couch to the left and there's one to the right. So we're sitting one to
Yeah.
the right.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I set Terrell on the one right to the right when you walk
Okay.
out. And I said, "Just stay right here, just chill, like stop. Just, it's not that serious." Because now in my head, I'm like, okay, well, I have to fix this even more, because not only is Derek gonna be pissed at me, he might even call the police on my husband.
What's Derek's condition at this time?
Derek's fine. He just has like a knot coming on his head. It didn't break skin.
He's conscious.
Yeah, he's conscious.
Okay.
But he's crying though.
Okay.
And so then I'm like, okay, well, let me go outside and smoke a cigarette, because Derek didn't like smoking in his house that much.
Was Derek saying anything?
He's just crying.
Okay.
And so I go outside and I smoke a cigarette. And actually, the lady who lives in the house in front, she was getting out like of a car. So I stopped and spoke to her, and I was talking to her for a second.
What does she look like?
She's white, long hair,
Young, old?
long brown hair. She's not old, she was young.
Okay.
And so I spoke to her for a second, and then that's when I hear like a commotion on the inside. And so Derek's phone was like on the, like a little table right there. And so to my recollection, what I think is that he tried to go for his phone so he can call for help. And so then that's when I come in, and this is like probably 2 minutes have passed, and Terrell has like a belt around his neck, and he's choking him, and has his mouth over his hand over his mouth, trying to shut him up from screaming.
And where in the house is that happening?
This is in the walk, like right outside of the walkway of the door, like in the walk where the bedroom and the living room connects.
Okay.
And so it's like right there.
Okay.
And so they're going, like, he's on top of Derek, like, trying to keep him from screaming, and has like a belt around his neck. And so I'm already like going off. I'm like, what the fuck? And so by the time I'm able
Are
to,
you yelling real loud, or?
I'm like rushing towards him, but I'm yelling. And so as I go and I pull him off, and then I take the belt off, Derek's not moving anymore. And so when Terrell looked at his hand, he had blood on his hand. Terrell had blood on his hand, not Derek. And that's when Terrell started
Do you remember
to,
which hand?
it was the right hand.
Right hand. Okay.
And so, no, it probably was the left.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I can't
Okay.
remember honestly what hand it was. And so he has blood on his hand. That's when Terrell started to like snap, like break down hysterical.
Was it Terrell's blood or Derek's blood?
It was Derek's blood, because I verified it after. It was Derek's blood. And so then he like started to like cry hysterically.
What was he saying?
He was basically like, "Oh my gosh, what the fuck?" And then he went and he washed his hands. And at this point, I'm like, well,
In the bathroom or the kitchen?
in the bathroom.
Okay.
And so then at this point, I'm like, I'm not sure what to do, but I felt like if I told my husband that if anything, I would take the blame for whatever, because I felt like he's not built for jail. Like, first time he went to jail for like a week, he broke down, and it was just really bad. And so I told him I would take the blame. And so then he was like, okay, well, there's a carpet right here, let's roll him up. And so then I helped him roll him up in the carpet. And then at this time, Van's in the back right now. because he drove the van straight to the back. And so,
That was when y'all returned from
Yes.
Americas?
yes.
Okay.
And so,
So Terrell drove the van back.
yeah, he drove the van back up to Americas.
Okay.
And so then, at this point, he carried the body like out to the back door,
Okay.
and
Like through the kitchen,
Yeah.
back door. Okay.
and it's starting to be like the sun is coming up by now, because we didn't immediately move it straight out.
Okay.
Because I was sitting there trying to figure out like what the fuck to do.
What? Okay. I want to backtrack just a bit. What time did you guys get back to Tallahassee? What time do you kind
It
of?
was probably like it was around maybe 3:30ish. It was like an hour or so before Derek got back,
Okay.
because Derek got back around 4 something. So it
Okay.
was- yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
And so at this point we sat there for a while, not long, but to me it was a while because I was honestly coming down, and I was trying to figure out how to basically fix everything,
Mhm.
but I knew I couldn't fix it. Like, it was an unfixable situation, to be honest.
Right.
But I was trying to fix it as best that I could. At the time, I was thinking, and I know now that what I was thinking was not right. And it hurts now, which is why after being in a cell by yourself, you kind of think.
Mhm.
And I was like, I don't want to keep going and causing more pain to his family. And so, we ended up putting Derek in the van, and Terrell drove the van back because I did not want to be in that van after that.
Okay.
So I came up with the thing like, okay, well, we make it seem like Derek moved. He just had a rough time because he was financially in some troubles and everything. And so I drove the car back, and he drove the van back. And when we got to the Georgia side,
Mm-hmm.
we stopped at a flash food, which is when you're driving, it's on the left-hand side. And Terrell's in the bathroom, I'm in the car, but then I go inside because he's taking forever. And then he takes Derek's phone. I didn't know he took Derek's phone. And he's in the van at this point because now I'm inside. And I'm getting gas for the car. No,
Mhm.
I didn't get gas for it. I take that back. I'm inside because I'm getting something to drink, energy drinks or whatever, so I don't go to sleep. And he takes Derek's phone because he said that his phone was dying and he didn't have a charger for the car.
Which phone did? Do you remember the phone number of the phone that Terrell had?
Derek's phone, or
No, the other one he had.
it was a 404 number. I don't remember.
Okay.
And so he takes the phone and he leaves. He leaves me. And so I was there for 10 minutes because I'm like, I can't find the phone. I can't find the keys to the car.
Where'd the phone? I know he took the phone, but where'd the phone then? Do you know where it was before he took it?
He had put in one of the things he took from Derek.
They were in the car.
It was in a bin.
But it was in the car, right?
Yes.
The bag. So he takes the phone out of the car,
Yes.
and then he leaves in the van.
He leaves in the van.
And he's gone for how long?
He's 10, 15 minutes ahead of me.
Okay.
And so, because I'm looking for the keys, and the keys were gone. But the keys were not gone. They were under the seat of the car.
Mm-hmm.
And so, at this point, I'm like, okay, well, I find the keys, and then I was trying to call his phone, but his phone was dead. But I didn't know Derek's phone number by heart. And so, finally he calls, and he was like, well, where are you? And I'm like, well, you left me. Luckily, I have the map of how to get back. And so then I didn't meet up with him again until we were back in Americas, because I went straight to his mom's house, thinking that that's where he would be.
Mhm.
He wasn't there. I got there, I spoke to his, yes.
No.
I got there, I spoke to his mom. She's like, well, where's Terrell? He told me he was going to be with you last night. And so I was like, okay, yeah, he was, but he's at the store. I didn't want to tell her we had a U-Haul, because then she went ballistic. And so then finally I'm driving around looking for him, because he's not where he says he is. So I drive down to one end of Americas. He's not there. So then I drive past another part, and he said later on, he told me he was looking for somewhere that he can just leave the van, but I don't think that's what he was doing, because we were separated for about 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And so then finally he was like, okay, well follow me. So he finally finds me, and so I follow him, and that's when we go down Railroad Road to that cul-de-sac where the body was.
Okay.
And he was like, well, I found this spot. And so in my head, I'm like, this isn't just a random spot. I was like, so I asked him, I said, what were you doing back here? I said, were you being a whore at some point? Because that was my first, my first initial instinct was that my husband was cheating on me back here somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so then he was like, no, I was just one day when you were gone, I just was walking and I found this spot. And so then, that's when he backed up into it, pulled the body out, and then I look up, I was like, well, that may be a camera, so, and so then end up leaving, and then I still felt obligated to return the van. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
And so I called U-Haul and asked them, could I return the van to the U-Haul in Americas because I didn't have enough money to get back to Tallahassee. The lady told me, it's fine, just bring the van back. And so Terrell ended up driving the van back to U-Haul, and I picked him up at the U-Haul.
Was that all the same day?
Yeah, this is now, so we got the U-Haul the day before, and this is now the next day, yeah.
Right. Okay. It wasn't the same day you left Americas
No.
in the car? Okay.
No.
All right. Where, describe the area where the U-Haul is. Is it a shopping center? Is it
It's right next to Walmart.
Right next to Walmart. Okay. And is it a standalone building or is it?
It's a little standalone building, and when he pulled up, there was a guy blocking the gate, and Terrell asked him, you want to take the keys? He said no, just drop it in the drop box.
Okay.
And so that's what he did. He dropped the keys in the drop box, right there at the door.
And that was the afternoon.
Yeah, that was about probably like 4 or 5.
Okay.
Because initially he had parked the U-Haul at the shopping center where the Dollar Tree is, and then just let it sit there because it was out of gas. And so luckily the U-Haul from there is like only a couple blocks.
Okay.
So then returned it instead of just letting it sit there.
I have a question.
Yes.
And it kind of revolves around one thing, but you said earlier, after, I guess, your first trip and your first visit with Derek, that even though he and Terrell didn't get along, that you kind of stayed in contact with Derek. How did you stay in contact? By what means?
Oh, I had a phone as well.
Your phone?
Yeah,
Okay.
he had my number.
All right. And what was your phone number at the time? Do you remember it?
My phone number was 313-413-2832.
Okay. Did you have any other phones? Or was that the only one you had?
That was my main phone, and then Terrell had the other 404 number.
Okay.
Which one did you guys buy in Orlando? Which phone number?
He actually never activated that phone.
Never activated.
He was
Okay.
using it for internet service.
Okay. So this is a phone that he's had for as long as you've known him, or Terrell?
Oh no, we've had several phones since then.
So, okay.
Yeah, because our phone always gets cut off. We can't, and then Metro has a thing where you can just, if you're a new customer, you get a free phone.
Did you guys ever go into the Metro PCS and get 2 phones? You got one and he got one?
Yeah,
Both of them?
mine's ended up breaking.
Okay. Did it have a 404 area code as well?
Yes, they both have 404s.
Okay. And that account, you're the subscriber for that account?
Yeah, I was the subscriber for that account. Yeah.
And you said that phone always kept breaking?
That phone got broken like a couple days after I got it
Mhm.
because I couldn't afford a case,
Okay.
and that's why I was using a 313 number.
Was that before or after this incident with Derek?
That was before.
Okay. So when you first met Derek, did you ever communicate with him on the 404 number?
No, when I first met Derek, we communicated because we didn't have those phones yet.
Mm-hmm.
It was only on the 313 number and Grindr.
Okay.
And Terrell had the 202 number.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if he contacted Derek on that 202 number because it was a Google Voice number.
Okay. And I guess the other question I had is, I know that y'all kind of got separated, and you said as soon as we got across the state line from Florida into Georgia at a Flash Foods. Do you remember what city or town you were in?
It was right outside of what is it? It's before you get to Albany.
Okay.
And right behind the Flash Food is some apartments.
Mm-hmm.
Right there. And it's on a long road. It's on that long. It's one of those long stretches that you have to take. And then it's a Flash Food right there. And it's like fast food is in the middle, and there's one intersection going this way, there's one going straight. It's a street going this way.
You're talking about a little small town, though, right?
It's a small town, yes.
And you're coming when you leave town. Do you go north?
When I come out of fast food, I come out this way and I make.
I mean, when you leave Tallahassee, you left north on. Do you know what road? What highway?
If you name a couple, I can. It's okay. When I come out of, if you come down Monroe Street, you're gonna merge to the right.
Yeah. Merge to the right and just basically keep on going straight.
Keep
on going straight, and then eventually you're gonna make a left.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna be on that road for a while, and then I believe you're gonna make another left, and then.
All right. And you said that once that he took Derek's phone at this flash food store somewhere in South Georgia, and then he left 10 minutes ahead of you. I guess you said you were trying to find the keys.
I was trying to find the keys to the car.
Where were they?
I left the keys in the car because he was outside, and so I left the keys in the car, and because he was looking for a charger in the car for the port of the U-Haul, he couldn't find one, so that's when he took Derek's phone and decided to just leave. He was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead. Like, he left because when I came back out of fast food, he was gone. Right. And so I'm like, okay, well, where did he take the keys? And so I'm trying to call his phone.
And you saw him with Derek's phone.
Yeah, because he called me from Derek's phone.
Okay, and that's where I was going with this. While you're traveling, he's calling you, or once you get to Americas?
No,
you're
he's
looking for each other?
He's calling me while we're driving, because he's like, okay, well, he tells me that because he's getting paranoid for some reason. I guess because he had that body in the back. I don't know. But he's telling me that he feels like it's somebody following him, and so he calls me, and I was like, well, just drive normal. I mean, what do you want? I'm nowhere near you. I can't drive behind you. I can't drive in front of you. And so that's when I guess he's just calmed down or whatnot. Because he pulled over at some shopping center, because I remember this conversation. He pulled over at some shopping center because he said he wanted to wait on me. But I told him to keep going because I don't feel like we're on the same route, because it's two different ways from that place that you can get back around to Americas. Yeah. And so somehow, some way, I ended up in front of him, because when we were talking, he was like, okay, well, I named a part of where like the police station is on right before you get to Americas. It's a police station on the left-hand side if you're driving into Americas. And I'm like, well, I'm right there. And he's like, well, I'm nowhere near there. I'm still like right outside of Albany. And so I'm like, well, how the hell are you still outside of Albany? Because it just didn't make sense to me. Yeah. And so in my head, I'm automatically thinking like, because he had a little friend, Albany. And so I'm like, oh, maybe he stopped and saw his friend. Because they were talking a lot. So maybe he stopped and saw his friend. But then I'm like, he wouldn't make a stupid decision like that, even though he did some very stupid things along the way. But I just didn't think he would do that.
Do you know the name of the friend in Albany?
He had two. One was this boy. I don't know his name. And then the other was an older white male named Jeff, I want to say. I'm not sure. It was his friend. I don't know.
Jeff?
I think his name was Jeff. He's like a carpenter type thing, because when we got stuck in, I was getting stuck. My sister dropped us off in Albany, and we got stuck in Albany. And so he met this white guy in Albany, and he drives a Camaro, and he took us back to his house, and then he drove us from his house to Americas. Okay. And so they kept in contact after that, because Terrell was supposed to start working with him, and then I don't know what happened with that. I guess it dissolved or whatever, because I ended up leaving and going to Tallahassee, so I don't know how that happened.
Okay. But you don't know which friend you went to see?
No, I'm not sure.
Okay. That cares. You've already talked about what happened. You know, once you got there, you got to his mama's house first. Yeah. And you said by a good 30 minutes?
It's about good 30 minutes in front.
Did you go inside and talk to his mom?
Yeah, I went inside and talked to his mom.
How long were you inside talking to his mom?
Well, I had to pee. Okay. So we were outside for a second, because when I got there, the doors were locked. Yeah. And so I got there, and she's a heavy-set woman, and so she takes forever to get like in the house. And so we stopped for about a good 10 minutes to talk, and then she was like, "Where's Terrell?" And then she asked me if I can go to the store to get some. It was some food, some type of food, and I was like, "Yeah, Terrell at the store," so I'll go. And
did you go to the store?
No, because I didn't have Terrell had the food stamp card.
Yeah.
And so then I waited, and that's when I started looking around for him. That's how 30 minutes came about, because I was driving around looking around and couldn't find him.
How come you didn't call him
I was, and when he would tell me
You were calling him?
I was calling him back.
And you were calling
I was calling from the 313 number to Derek's phone.
Okay.
And
'Cause
making contact with him?
Yes, and he
Okay.
would say that he was in this one spot and he wouldn't be there. And so I was like, I would drive to that one spot and then I would be like, okay, well, where the fuck are you? And I'm going off by now because I'm like, now I feel like he's playing games.
How well does he know Americus?
He lived there for 2 years.
Okay. Gotcha.
And so I'm like, you say you're here. I don't know Americus at all, but I know key points to where we walked to before. And so, you know what I'm saying, if you say you're over here by the Chinese restaurant, down by the Salvation Army, I drive over there, you can see a big white U-Haul,
Right.
and you're not there. You tell me you're along it's railroad tracks on that side as well. He's like, oh, I just crossed the railroad tracks over by where his school was. So I go over there by his school, he's not there. And so then I'm like, you know what, I'm going back to the house. That's fine. So when I go back over by the house, I believe the street's called Walker. And so I go over there by Walker Street. And I'm just over there, and then that's when he drives past me, comes around, and he pulls up and he's like, just follow me. And that's when I follow him over to where the actual railroad was. And that's...
Okay. Well,
No, go ahead.
I want to backtrack just a little bit to when Derek is killed.
Right.
So it happens in the bedroom, kind of in the doorway to the bedroom and the living room.
It's more so in the living room.
More so in the living room. Okay.
Yeah, but it's still like in that doorway area.
And you roll them up in a rug that's from where?
The rug is like right there in the living room. That's
What
right,
color is it?
Honestly, I don't remember. I believe it was red. Like it had red. I remember having red in it.
Okay.
Red and brown, I think.
Okay. And is that the only thing you roll them up in?
That's the only thing I remember rolling up. That's the only thing I remember.
Do you remember a blanket or anything else
No.
that you guys used? Do you remember and covering his face or anything like that with
No.
anything?
I don't remember covering his face.
Okay. Who tied him up?
He was tied up.
Okay. So I guess that wasn't you.
No, I didn't know he was tied up.
How much of a role did you have in rolling him up in the rug?
Terrell needed help. Like he needed help rolling him up because after I took the thing off, I left out because I'm like, now I'm burnt. Like I'm trying to think of what. And he was like already rolled up. I was having trouble rolling, like actually rolling him.
Okay.
And so that's when I actually tried to roll him more.
Okay.
But I didn't know he was tied up though.
Okay. Was he mostly in the blanket or in the rug already?
Yeah, he was already in the rug.
Okay. And did you help? I guess did you help Terrell put him in the U-Haul?
He was able to get him to the doorway, but as he's getting to the doorway, it's where he's struggling because it was heavy,
Right.
and so it's like a little bend, right there, and he was having trouble because it was like bending, the carpet was kind of bending, and so that's when I did help him move it from there to the van. Yes.
Okay. Did you help him unload it from the van in Americus?
Well, the way he did it was I just opened the doors and he just was able to push it out.
Okay.
Because it was in thorns, kind of.
Gotcha. Okay.
Y'all, what time of day?
What time did it for?
When you were at Americus pulling Derek out of the van?
It was broad daylight.
And that was a question I had.
It was
based on what we know from.
It was broad daylight.
Yeah.
It was no later than. I can tell you exactly what it was because his mom was coming home from school. She's coming home from school, and so it's no later. It's before noon.
I mean, we can tell you about exactly when it was, but my question is, it's broad daylight there. Was there any issue with people coming by? People walking by? Nothing. No traffic, no foot traffic, no vehicle traffic. You know.
No. Even though I did notice it seemed like it was houses right there.
Yeah.
But looking at when I showed them on the map, I didn't see the houses, but I could have sworn it was houses right there.
Yeah.
Did you all drive around in that immediate area looking for a place, or did
No.
you just know where to go?
That's where he said it was the perfect spot, and so he grew up there. And I asked him later, was he having sex back there or something? Because to me that was a weird spot. I couldn't, and that was a long stretch to go down that road.
How far did you? So you followed him in the car down there?
Yeah.
Okay. And where exactly did you meet up with him?
I met him over on like Walker Street.
You met him on Walker.
Around it's Walker and then it's another street. It was
Okay.
because I was driving back to his mom's house and I had made the left into Walker.
Okay.
And then he had came. I guess he seen me, so came around
Yeah.
and pulled up. Because at this time I was already frustrated because I couldn't find him.
Right. So you follow him down.
Yeah, he told me to follow
Towards
him,
that
so I
railroad
followed him
area.
too, yeah.
Okay. Was there anything else in the back of the van? I'm sorry. Was there anything else in the back of the van other than
It was a mirror. A mirror.
Tell us about the mirror.
The mirror just got broken.
Okay.
Was that, did that happen? Is that something you just took out of the apartment?
It's something, yeah, he just took out.
And it was broken
It was
on the
a-
way, or is it
Terrell
as
said
a result of the fight?
He said it must have got broken in the midst of him driving.
Okay.
And then it was just close to make it seem like he left. That's the we took the laptop because, like I said, it made it seem like he left, and because I had pawned his sister's laptop when I was in Tallahassee to get like me and Derek food and gas and stuff so he can drive Lyft. I didn't tell Terrell that, but
You pawned Terrell's sister's laptop?
yeah.
Okay.
And so he said that we should give the laptop to his sister, and I was like, for all that, I'll just, you know, you have 30 days at the pawn shop,
Mhm.
and I think in Tallahassee it's a little more. And so I was like, I'll just get the money, I'll go back, because I didn't want to give her his laptop because, for one, his account is still on it. And so he was like, you know, just give it to her. He was like, he told her, just look at it, tell me if you like it.
Mhm.
So she looked at it, she liked it, and so she kept it.
Okay. Which sister was that?
Tiana.
Tiana. And you pawned Derek's phone?
Yes, I know. He saw his phone. Yes.
Okay. Where did you pawn or sell it at?
It's a little machine in Walmart in Manassas.
In the Walmart Manassas.
Yes.
Okay. And you drove. Well, I'll ask you. How did you get there?
To Manassas?
Yeah, to that Walmart.
Drove.
In
Derek's
what?
car.
In Derek's car. Okay. So.
What? I guess you guys had a bag with you, right?
We had quite a few bags, yes.
Okay. Did you take anything besides? You mentioned the laptop.
Terrell grabbed some papers and stuff. That is still in his mom's house, I think.
Some papers.
It should be some papers and some clothes. Well, papers in a couple bags. That's Derek's.
That's theirs.
When you
Okay.
say papers,
I'm not sure. I didn't look at them. They're just papers that he grabbed. I'm not sure.
was it like document type stuff or?
They were over about it. I'm not sure. I never looked at them.
Were they bills, mail, anything like
It
that?
was just a big old like a folder type. I'm not sure if it was a folder actually. I just knew he stuffed some stuff that was over by the desk
Mhm.
in a bag, and that's over at his mom's house. Like when you first walk in, it should be like right there at the door.
Okay.
What kind of bag was it?
It was a couple backpacks.
Okay. What else at Derek's did you take
Yeah,
besides that?
just everything that you can remember.
There was a TV.
What happened with the TV?
We ended up pawning it for gas.
Where?
Pawn shop around the corner from his mom's house.
Okay.
How many days was that after you got back to
Probably
America?
2.
2 days.
And that was it.
Who actually pawned that?
Honestly, I can't remember.
Do you remember going in?
We
Were you
both
both
went in.
in?
Yeah.
So one of the two of you?
Yeah.
Now this pawn shop in America, so I understand, small town.
There's like 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah. What street is this on?
I'm not sure. I don't know the streets. Like
But it's
that.
around the corner from his mom's house.
Yeah.
And do they follow things by the book? Like they take your ID, you fill out a pawn slip, all that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we went a couple of times. The first couple of times Terrell went in and found out like they didn't want to give him that much money.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like it's not gonna be enough gas. And so and then I went in the second time to like see like what they were talking about. And so that's why I'm not sure if he pawned it or I pawned it because I don't remember having my ID, but it's possible I did.
Okay. Understood. How many times, since the TV was pawned, how many times have you been back to that pawn shop to pawn anything?
Just nothing.
Nothing. Okay. And now, at his mom's house, y'all spent the night there?
Yeah.
Okay.
A couple nights.
All right. In those couple nights right after this happened, was there any conversation about it? About what had occurred?
No, we actually never talked. We never talked about it.
Never.
Never talked unless we got into a fight. Like if we got into a fight, he usually kicks my ass, really, except for this last time.
I saw.
He would be like, because he was choking me one time, and he was like, "I don't need a belt for you," and so then that was the only thing like that was ever said.
How often does he choke you?
He choked me quite a few times. I mean,
Is that his go-to move?
yeah, usually that, or if he can't, like, because I usually protect my face, it's either he chokes me or he bites me really bad.
I see that.
Yeah.
How long ago was that from?
This is probably the day before we got arrested.
Okay.
And he scratches me. And usually, we got back up here. We used to fight a lot. And so this last time we went and we stayed with our friend Kirk, who lives in Centerville. And the day after we got out from the first time in Fairfax, he showed up randomly, and it shocked me that he was able to find me. Not really, but it did shock me because I haven't heard from him. Nobody picked me up. I had to go on to the library and get in contact with Kirk. And he showed up about 8 o'clock. And I was shocked. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to walk. I didn't say anything to him because it looked like he was high. And I wasn't high, I was sober. So I didn't say anything to him. And so then we're walking, and then he's like, okay, well, you know, shit is really about to hit the fan. And I said, yeah, but you know, I made a promise to you. And I'm going to keep my promise because I do love my husband. I'll do anything for him. And so Kirk at the time does not like, for some reason my husband rubs people the wrong way. And so Kirk does not like my husband as well. And so they got into this big heated argument, like a huge heated argument where I thought they were going to fight. And so then my husband leaves, but he takes something from Kirk. And so then we're out looking for my husband. My husband's gone for a couple hours, claimed he got drunk. But as I'm leaving, I called him a whore as I was leaving. And next thing I know, he like punches me out of nowhere. He ran up behind me, punches me, blacked my eye. And so then I kept trying to walk away because I didn't want to fight. I just got out of jail. I'm not trying to go back to jail because they would call the police. And so he just kept fighting me. And so then we get down to where there's a pond, and he tried to throw me over where the pond is. And I'm like, well, it's only because he's drunk. So at this point, I'm fighting back now because you're trying to throw me in a pond. I can't swim. And so then finally we get back to like the little street area, and Kirk pulls up, breaks it up. Terrell falls out hysterical because he says he's drunk. Come to find out he was faking because he threw up when Kirk ended up in this hotel, and he threw up on me and Kirk. And then Kirk asked me then, he was like, you know, just write him a letter, leave him, let him know, you know, you want to make sure he was okay, just leave him. But I couldn't do it. So I do, like I said, I do love my husband. Even now sitting here, I'm like, you know, I don't know. Like I'm worried. I'm just worried because I'm scared too. Because
What are you scared of?
initially, after I talked the first night, his uncle, the scary.
Is this Jermaine?
Jermaine, yeah.
Yeah, I can't keep it straight. Sorry.
And so initially I was scared because I'm like, you know, his uncle always, you know, he always told me like, one thing you don't want to do is cross my family. Even though he considered me family, but then he was like, you know, do anything for my nephew.
Yeah.
And so then I know his uncle's passed, and so I initially was like, you know, his uncle's probably going to try and figure out a way to get at me. But then I just been worried about that.
Well, let me ask you that. One,
And-
you said earlier. Go ahead.
Oh, and the reason I said that is because they contacted me at the jail.
Family has.
No, his uncle did.
Yeah.
He called up to the jail and told them my grandmother died, which is totally a lie. My grandmother's still living. Because at first I was like hurt.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they tell you something like that, it pisses you off, you know. And so then they was like, go stand by the lawyer phone. And so I'm thinking my lawyer's calling or something like that. I pick up the phone and it's Jermaine. And so I'm like stuck in my place. I'm like, well, what the fuck is he?
What did Jermaine tell you when he called?
He said,
you
did
on
you
the
get my
lawyer phone?
message? I said, no, I didn't get your message.
Mhm.
And so then that's when Terrell got on the phone and he was like, shit's really about to go south. He was like, I'm going to, try and do what I can for you while you're there. And then he asked me was I going to keep my promise, and I was like, yeah.
And that promise was?
That if anything was to go down, like if shit was, I would totally, take the blame for it.
And you told him that you were, what did he say?
He said, okay. And he told me he loved me, and that was fine. And then I didn't agree with the lie that was being told, which was that Derek OD'd, because that was totally a lie.
Yeah.
And one thing I didn't want to do, no matter what happened, I didn't want to put dirt on his name, because he's done nothing but help me. And I already felt bad, and it was already starting to get to me.
Yeah. You said about the lie that he OD'd. Did you and Terrell discuss this at some point?
It got back to me. Because Terrell had told King, and then King, he asked me, he kept asking me, he was like, is Derek okay that he OD? And I'm like, where are you getting this from?
So King was talking to you and Terrell.
He was trying to find out what was wrong with Derek. And he kept trying to find out if Derek was alive and if Derek was hurt or where Derek was.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I was very hesitant because I was like, I don't know if I can trust King, with what I'm going to tell him. I don't know. And so then King kept saying, well, you guys are on drugs. I heard he was on heroin, is Derek okay? And he kept coming up to visit me. I was like, is Derek, every time, the first time he came, I was like pissed. I was like, why are you, because it shocked me that King knew anything.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I know what you want to talk about. And he was like, Derek Levi Parks. I was like, what the fuck? Caught me totally off guard. And so I was like, well, how the hell did, and he immediately was trying to find out what happened to Derek and where Derek was. And if Derek was fine. And at first I told him, yeah, Derek was fine, because that's what I wanted him to believe. And at the time, I wasn't thinking. Like, the first time I talked to the police, I totally lied.
Does he actually know Derek?
Who, King?
Yeah.
No, not at all.
I mean, he's never had contact with him.
Not at all.
Nothing.
He knew that, and initially, he knew that I was in Florida at the time with Derek.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't know Derek's name or anything, but he knew I was in Florida.
Okay, so you'd never mentioned the name, and that's
I never
what was
mentioned the
asking
name.
you. Okay.
No, but I didn't know how. But he said that Derek's sister had contacted my mother,
Mm-hmm.
and my mother contacted King to find out what was going on.
Had you ever mentioned the name Derek to your mom or to your
Never.
sister?
I don't know how, because she contacted me as well on Facebook, and I couldn't figure out how she found me.
Mm.
And I had to go into you go into your messages on Facebook, it's a message request.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the request, I didn't answer it. But then I don't know how I guess she was just able to find my mother. And she started, I don't know how it went about. But I forget where I was at. King. And so King had mentioned the OD and everything. Yeah. And then I'm like, what are you talking about? Where are you getting this from? I said, Derek wasn't on heroin for one. Mm-hmm. I've never tried heroin, never will. Don't have the desire for it. And so that's when he was like, well, I'm going to be honest with you. He said, I talked to the detectives, and they're pretty much saying that they believe that you and Derek were using drugs and that he OD'd. And I immediately was like, that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
And then he asked me, he was like, I had a minute left on the phone. Not less than a minute, actually.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, just answer one thing for me. And he was like, what? And he said, is Derek okay? I immediately was like, no. The phone hung up. I couldn't call him back.
Yeah.
And so then he came to visit me a couple of days after. And he was like, just what happened? I didn't want to tell him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you know what? I don't feel comfortable. I was like, just know that Derek didn't OD, because that's totally a lie. I said I would submit to a polygraph.
Right.
I said if they actually find out where Derek is, they'll be able to tell that he did not OD. That was a lie. Mm-hmm. They'll be able to tell that the story that whatever my husband was telling them, whatnot, was a total lie, because it's no way possible. And then that's when I slipped up and I was like, it's no way possible I drove 2 cars to Americas. And then he was like, what are you talking about? And then that's when I was like, you know what? I'm done. I said I'll accept my share of the blame, because I don't think that, I know that I did something in part of that. And so I said, I'll accept my share, part of what I've done. Yeah. However, I'm not going to.
Do you, who thinks it is possible for you to drive 2 cars to Americas?
Who?
Terrell.
I think it's possible to.
Terrell says that you must have done that because we talked to him. Of course, we would. You know, Terrell says that he never left Americus.
However, if you go back to his original first statement
Mm-hmm.
that he told the police, he told them that I came to Americus in the U-Haul,
Mhm.
picked him up and drove him back to Tallahassee.
Yeah.
And we left from there.
Okay.
That's what he originally told the police.
So, and how do you know what he told the police?
He told me.
He told you that.
He told me.
Okay. And he
How-
told
how
you
did-
that.
And the police came and they actually told me that that's what he said, because I had told them that Derek was with us, and they said no, that I came, picked him up in the U-Haul, Terrell up, and then we drove the car back to Americus, just me and Terrell.
Yeah. Let's just say that he never made that statement
Mm-hmm.
to the police
Right.
before. That he never, and let's just say that he's telling the police that he never left Americus.
Right.
He was never there. That he had met Derek one time before, but then you went down on your own and you did this while he's up in Americus. What's the way that we could be able to tell?
Check the flash. I mean, I don't know if Flash View still has their surveillance video,
Yeah.
but you can see that he was with me there.
Yeah.
What else?
If he's in Americus, is he staying with his mom?
He was staying with his mom. His mom knew he left that night.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if she I mean, my mother would do anything to protect her son.
Of course.
So I'm not sure what she'll do about that. Or
Do you have any other friends or associates, anybody else that y'all hang out with in Americus?
we never hung out with anybody in Americas. However, I'm not sure whether or not it'll be there, because he actually he said that he never touched it.
He said you killed Eric all
Yes.
by yourself, and that you drove the body back up there and must have dumped it off by yourself. That he says he doesn't know where the body was, and he didn't have anything to do with that.
He also says he doesn't know Americas.
And he doesn't know his way around Americus to save his life.
But how did I get a car and a van to? I mean, I get what you're saying. I honestly do.
Yeah.
And at this point, I have nothing to lose, nothing to hide.
Yeah.
And so, I can tell you got, well, it's brain systems, I don't know, but I mean, I don't know if you guys can check the U-Haul for his fingerprint.
Mm-hmm.
Derek's stuff has his fingerprints on it, but the stuff is in his mom's house, some of it, and we have, like I said, the fast
Is he
food.
going to say that you brought that stuff and left it at his mama's house because y'all stayed there for a couple
Right,
of nights?
the flash food,
Mm-hmm.
the U-Haul may have surveillance,
Yeah.
and yes,
As far as the U-Haul,
yeah.
what did you guys do before you returned it? I mean, you said there was a broken mirror.
The broken mirror stayed in the U-Haul.
It was just left there.
It's just left there.
Did you try to clean up the van at all, or get rid of anything inside the van?
He said leave the mirror, so we left the mirror.
And you just dumped the
No.
the body.
Where did y'all, after y'all dumped the body, where did y'all park the U-Haul at?
He parked the U-Haul at where it's a Dollar Tree.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little parking lot right there. He left it sitting there, and then initially I was like, well, I don't want to just leave it sitting there, because I still felt some type of way about it. So I called the U-Haul and asked them could we return the van there, and then they said that they wouldn't deny a U-Haul van.
Mhm.
And so Terrell drove the van up. Asked the man was he going to park it in the back. He said no, just leave
So
it.
you actually talked to somebody?
Yes, there's a man that worked there. Yes.
Okay. You didn't just go up and drop a key in a box after
No.
hours?
There was a man there, and then he dropped the key into the box because the man said they were closed.
Mm-hmm.
But the man worked there because he was closing the gate.
Okay. And did y'all immediately get on the road at that point?
No, we
or-
went back to his mom's house.
Went back to his mom's house?
Yes.
Okay.
And we didn't leave. We still didn't leave. Probably for another day and a half. 2 days after that.
A day and a half or 2 days after.
We didn't leave until we left either the 19th or the 20th.
Okay.
Because he wanted to stay in Americas. Because he initially wanted to burn the body.
So we all discussed that
He did discuss it. He said before we left that he wanted to do that. And I
before
said,
you left Tallahassee?
yes. No, before we left Americas. Because I couldn't stay in Americas no more. Because I was starting to have nightmares about it.
This is after y'all have already put Derek in
Right.
the weeds.
Right.
And because I'd asked you before, did y'all talk about any of this? And you told me no.
Well,
Y'all talked about.
I forgot about, because we didn't do it, the burning on the body, but he did mention that. And I was against it, and so we just dropped it at that. However, on Google, they keep your location, map location.
Yeah.
And so And his fingerprint, well, he had the phone, so on Derek's phone, but
Let me ask you just another question. I mean, eventually you got rid of Derek's car. What was the circumstances of that?
the car stopped working.
It did. And what happened after it stopped working?
We just left.
Well, you didn't just let me specifically what happened after the car
Oh.
stopped working.
Tora and I pushed it into a spot, like behind where it was.
Yep.
And we just ended up bringing the car
At
the
the
next.
Woodlawn Shopping Center. How close was that to, were y'all staying in the area after
No.
that? Okay. Did y'all ever go back to the car a few days later?
Yes, we went back to the car to get the remainder of our things out,
Okay.
and that was the next day. We went back the next day to get the remainder of our things out. In case the car got towed,
Yeah.
because we were going up to Michigan.
Yep. And was there anything different about the car? Okay. Did you see a business card from a police officer on the car?
That was way before the car.
That was way before the car stopped?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's right, it was.
Okay. What did you do about that?
Tora asked me to call a detective because I was just gonna leave it. He told me to call and just make it seem like that Derek was up there with us, but he went out partying or something.
Okay, so you told the detective that Derek was okay?
Yeah.
And then there was I wouldn't call it a note, but I guess it was a note left in the car as well.
Well, I put one on the window, and then there was another one on the dashboard saying that I'm fine, so forth.
Was it a label printer or what was
It's
it?
a label front here.
Yeah. Where did you print the labels at?
It was on it had a label.
Okay. All right.
Is that one of yours? Is that something that's yours or something that was Derek's?
It was something that was ours.
Okay.
Okay. Y'all just had a label maker.
It's from my job.
What was your job at the time?
I was a concierge.
Right. So you had to put labels on things.
Yeah.
I know how label makers are. Once you make one label, you just start labeling everything, don't you? At least I do. But when we first started talking, and this is going back to
Right.
the night that you and Terrell came back from Americas together, and you said that Terrell was in the bathroom. A little bit of argument had occurred. You stepped outside to smoke a cigarette, and
Yeah.
you said that the neighbor, the white girl, came walking up, and you were talking with her.
It was brief. It was
Right.
just-
Okay. Well, you said I was talking with the white
Yeah.
girl, and then I heard the commotion inside.
Right.
Were you still talking to the white girl when you heard the commotion?
She had just went went inside, but I was still smoking a cigarette.
So she didn't.
She could have, but
Okay.
it was always a lot of noise inside there. Like, it was always noise on.
It's yeah, I can see where it's a noisy place, but she didn't make note of the
Not to my
the
knowledge.
yelling or whatever was being heard inside.
Not to my knowledge.
It was loud enough you could hear it outside.
Yeah,
Was
like,
Derek's door closed?
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's like really thin. Like the walls, because we would always hear like next door.
Yeah, they're old buildings. How far were you from Derek's door?
I was like on a little pathway because she was going in like hers.
Right, the pathway in between the buildings.
Right.
Okay. All right, and you don't recall anything about how Derek's hands got tied?
I don't recall anything about that. No, I don't.
All right, so when you came in, Derek is, well, I tell you that after. When did you first,
When I came
when was
in,
the idea to roll him up?
The idea was to roll him up was after I saw that Derek wasn't moving,
Yeah.
and initially, like, I remember every single detail of what happened,
Mm-hmm.
but I do not remember his hands being tied at all.
Okay, and that's fine, but
Yeah.
but he's laying there on the floor. He's partially on that rug. Is that my understanding?
Yes.
Okay. So he's laying there. He's partially on this rug.
Right.
And you said that Terrell was trying to roll him into
He was he rode him, but then when he got over something, he was having difficulty,
Okay.
and then that's when he asked for my help, and I helped him like roll the rest of the way.
Do you remember? Did you leave after Derek wasn't breathing anymore? Did you leave the apartment or room for any reason?
I did bring the car back. Like, I brought the car around because the car was out front
Okay.
because there was no parking in the back.
All right. So you
I
brought
did-
the car
I did
around.
bring the car around to the back.
And then when you walked in from bringing the car around, what was going on inside the apartment at that point?
I don't remember.
Had he already been rolled up into the?
He wasn't. that honestly, I don't remember the time frame of that part.
Okay. All right, give us just a minute.
That's fine.
Okay. Do you need anything?
No, I'm fine.
Bathroom break or anything? You got it?
Thank you.
All right.
Can't believe Terrell's trying to lie on me here. Just trying to help, man. The story's twisting on me. Terrell. Where are you, man? I should just call the police. gonna go back. Have to pee. Really bad. Have to pee. Excuse me, I have to pee. I'm ready to go back. Excuse me, I have to eat that. I want to just knock. This is uncomfortable. I have to pee.
Nobody knew we had the game every year. This is true. Actually, parking won't be an issue.
Probably parking the coach's spot. See you guys. You need anything? You good? Okay.
The bottom of it right there.